All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Late Night Shots podcast, episode 48 today. So a bunch of interesting things that went by like the past week. So we had Kerkvliet surprisingly making his debut for Penn State on the varsity lineup. Kale Sanderson previously said that we wouldn't be seeing him for the rest of the season. I didn't get to see that because I don't have a TV on campus, and cable on campus actually. So I was kind of caught off guard by that too. So I went up and looked at all the matches. He looked solid by far. And I think the other big story is the Nittany Lion wrestling card event. So a bunch of big upsets went on. That number one guy in the country lost. A world team member just got pinned, and a little bit of an upset somewhere at 86. So these are some things we're going to dive into, and let's get right into it. So I think the first thing we want to talk about is Kerkvliet's debut for Penn State. So what are your initial thoughts on that?
I mean, he looks nothing short of excellent. I mean, we were talking before we started recording this immediately. I mean, he's in that Paris-Gable conversation where can he beat Gable and how does Paris go with him? I mean, with Paris being so much more established at college heavyweight, we have more to judge off of how he does. But, I mean, Greg, at least in terms of what he did to the fella from Maryland – and what he did in his other match against, who was it?
I think it's still Maryland.
Still Maryland? All right.
Yeah,
well,
but, again, I was looking through my comments. I have to cut you off, but, a lot of people were just going to come out and just completely, just say it's not anything because it was against Maryland, right? But if you look at, by far, the two most accomplished guys on the world level, again, Gable and Kerkvliet, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of these guys didn't. I don't think wrestled heavyweight, and I think Paris graduated 220. Gable was a heavyweight for his last 2 years, and Kerkvliet was a heavyweight his last year in high school. So we look at that, right? We all know the infamous matchup of the year: Kerkvliet versus Gable Stevenson.
Yep.
3-2 match. Kerkvliet gave up. Kerkvliet weighed in at 216. I think Gable at about 245, 250, somewhere around there. And it was a 3-2 match.
Yeah.
It looked like Gable scored on probably the most effortless shot of the match. Just kind of caught him off guard right there, right? Now, Kerkvliet's bigger. Gable's not that much bigger than he was then, but built a lot better, right? When it comes to debate, is one has had Kale Sanderson coaching them, and no disrespect to Minnesota, but Brendan Eggum, Kale Sanderson. No, those rooms are one's heavyweight university, and one is clearly just a better program.
Yeah.
So, these things go hand in hand. So a lot of people are just going to, Paris obviously should theoretically be a favorite right now. I'm not going to dismiss that. But if you look at that matchup-wise, Paris is not that fast compared to Gable or Kerkvliet. I think that's
exactly.
the thing
the big
we can
thing
all
for
agree
me.
on, right? Paris is the brute strength guy.
Yeah.
He's stronger than anybody at this weight class. Some of the most guys
athlete as well.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, when you talk about athletes, you have to consider strength in that factor, right? And if you consider that, he's perfectly built. It's I don't think he's not on the level of Gable, Kerkvliet, those guys, right? Just straight up technique wise. And Gwiazdowski. The fact that he beat Gwiazdowski just shows you how far pure strength can go for you.
Yeah.
And
I think what also enters him into this conversation is that he's a volume shooter, right? I mean, what makes Gable so difficult for these heavyweights to deal with is that he shoots so frequently, and so it kind of messes with people whenever you have to think about, it's not that this guy is going to he's going to set me up, he's going to shoot. It's going to be, you have to constantly think about him being on your legs because it's very, very minimal setup straight to a shot. It's the same thing with Kerkvliet, and Kerkvliet has a frame that really benefits that. He's 6'3".
6'4" probably, yeah.
Yeah. So if he's constantly in on all these heavyweights' legs, then that's going to make it a problem as well. Now, I don't really know how these guys are in a weight room, but I mean, I think it's safe to say that Kerkvliet could probably stand with Paris, at least strength-wise, enough to start, being more technical than him. And I'm a huge fan of Mason Paris. It's just that right now, regardless of beating unranked guys, Kerkvliet looks pretty, I don't want to say unstoppable, but he's approaching it.
Yeah, he looks again, he has the same attack rate as Gable Stevenson. But again, the thing is, how often do you see Gable get on a shot and not complete it? Just look at completion rates, right?
Yep.
Paris is obviously going to be a lot lower just because of the volume of shots he takes.
Yeah.
And Paris on top, Kerkvliet, if you look at Trent Hilger when he was a freshman, he presented a lot of problems for guys with his top riding, right? Kerkvliet just kind of danced around with those Maryland guys, no disrespect, but they're walk-ons, they are what they are. I don't really want to post them getting just whooped every day, but kind of had to. Kerkvliet was making his debut, right? And then that happened. They're most likely going to lose to a lot of guys, but they're not the worst Division I wrestlers out there. People
Yeah.
forget that the Big Ten is still one of the best conferences. Straight up, people hating on Tate Orndorff and all that. But again, you go back to the 6'4" frame. At the RTC Cup when Mason Parris was Tony Nelson, it was an 8-2 match, right? Tony's getting old. We all know that. And Mason Parris had probably the greatest tournament of his life right there.
Yeah.
He caught he shot in immediately. The legs were behind him, and we can both agree that Greg Kerkvliet is more athletic than Tony Nelson.
Yes.
That's just a fact.
Yeah.
With that, it's does Mason Parris' attack rate hurt him or does it help him against him? Because against Gable, it didn't do him very well. Gable kind of just gave him a free takedown right there. It's
it does become a question of, yeah, you're right. It is going to be whether his attack rate helps him or hurts him. I mean, I wouldn't say that Mason Parris is a calculated wrestler in the way that low volume wrestlers normally are.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about a Kyle Dake, that would probably be the epitome of a low volume wrestler, right? I think he maybe shoots twice every third match, right? Which obviously is a gross exaggeration, but whenever Kyle Dake is doing it, he's more of whatever opens up, right? Whenever we're talking about Mason Parris, pretty much most of the time it's his dump, right? I mean, he's learning how to, I don't want to say learning because obviously he's probably known how to do this since he was 4, but he's developing a really great way to chain it off into his high crotches and his head inside singles and his double legs. But I don't think of him as a very calculated wrestler, and the way that looks with Kerkvliet and really any Penn State guy, because what you have to do to beat Penn State is kind of either shut down their creativity or be more creative somehow, right? Because I feel, at least for me, that's the main thing with Penn State, and that's why I think that's such a great room for Kerkvliet, because he hit a variety of takedowns. Right. So with Mason Parris, it's going to become, how does he shut down those takedowns? And then how does he guarantee that he gets that dump? Because if you also think about a guy as long as Kerkvliet is, that dude is going to be very, very difficult to dump over your head. Right. Because if he gets his hips back, it's not going to be he can keep grabbing onto his leg. If he gets his hips back, he's probably reaching at air.
Yeah.
Right?
And the thing that Kerkvliet presents too is he has a re-attack game. He's not a guy who's going to chill in the front headlock position. If you saw him again, I think his best win so far, really, he has a 3-0 loss to Tony Nelson, but that was, again, a while ago. I think it's the same year that Gable lost to Tony Nelson, too, right?
Yeah.
But we'll go off this. Yusuf Hamida, 2-time All-American.
Mm-hmm.
Getting wrestling at Cliff Keen, right? Greg Kerkvliet attacked him pretty quick.
Yeah.
And what really surprised me is Kerkvliet's top game is his length and his, he's skinny. It was I don't know how to put that. That's the only thing I can really say. It's quote unquote skinny. Gone 250-pound man skinny, but the man can he has a limb frame.
Yeah.
Nimble frame kind of. And he can if he gets a hand on the head, he's getting that arm out right away. He's gonna be on his own leg. And you saw a lot of things Parris' defense is his offense, right? And once you shut that down, it's once you get on his legs, it's not going to be hard to finish.
Yeah.
And again, with the Russian ties, Anthony Kassar, people talk about Gable Parris would whoop Kassar now. What was Kassar's greatest strength? That lefty Russian. And you saw as a pattern, what did guys shut down Mason Parris with? Matt Stencil pretty much held upper body ties, and Parris took a bad shot, and he got cradled and pinned, right, in the blood round. Sam Stoll is notorious for that 2-on-1. Probably the best 2-on-1 you will ever see in heavyweight in the U.S. for a while,
Yeah.
And he essentially shut down Mason Parris. Mason Parris was too antsy to get out of it, and then he took bad shots and lost 8-2 to a guy he really shouldn't have lost to.
How's Kerkvliet's upper body? I haven't like kept up with
He at the U23 World Team Trials, and I think the year he redshirted or something like that, he lat dropped Jordan Wood on his head.
Sheesh.
He was bent halfway across the ground. He popped his hips through. Jordan Wood went flying.
Dang.
Yeah, he can throw upper body very well.
How do you think that helps him fare against Gable?
I think Gable's a guy that might get caught slipping here. I don't want to say this. Again, I'll say I'm really high on Kerkvliet for the sole fact that Kerkvliet and Storaci also, at 125, you obviously have Ragusin, but he can't really be put in this situation because of Spencer Lee, obviously.
Yeah.
Storaci or Kerkvliet win. They might be 5-time national champ. And that may be something nobody else ever gets the opportunity to do again.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, because it doesn't look like Mackay is really in shape to pull it off, and
he didn't look that
who knows
good
if
coming into nationals last year. He just pulled it off. He just caught fire and made it happen. Those are things. Who can really get done with Yanni out? That sucks, right?
Yeah.
Gabe only has the potential to become a 3-timer. Same with Paris. Kerkvliet can hit that 5, and so can Storaci.
Yeah, I think that might be the X factor in the Kerkvliet Gable matchup. Besides attack volume, I feel like that's going to be the biggest question. But
and
like
one thing I really wanted to touch on really quickly is if you look at just the path of heavyweights, I'm not cutting you off, but you see every time a guy establishes his dominance, there's a newer, more improved guy to come along.
Yep.
First we had Zach Ray, then Tony Nelson. Zach Ray was just a good heavyweight. Tony Nelson presented the frame. Nick Kozlowski presented the frame and the athleticism. Kyle Center presented the frame, the athleticism, and the ability to shoot low levels.
Yeah.
Who came along after that? Gable Stevenson do that, and he was able to get angles too, right? Kerkvliet presents all of that plus the frame that Kyle Snyder didn't. And he presents the ability to ride on top very well.
Yeah.
In turn. You don't see heavyweights in Grails. Yeah, obviously he might have just been messing around with that. I think his leg drives the way it goes, but if that
he's
match
definitely
comes
the
down,
right size to be hitting cradles.
Yeah. If that match comes down to riding time, it's going to be in Kerkvliet's advantage.
Yeah.
That's
I think
all I will say.
Yeah, in terms of on the feet, I mean, there's no beating Gable without somehow stopping him on the feet, which is obviously what's so difficult because he's got such a high attack
that's
rate.
what Kerkvliet has done.
Yeah, and that's what Tony Nelson did. I remember whenever they wrestled, right? That was freestyle, and I think
that was so long ago. Gable just kind of got bullied because he was young.
That was a long time ago.
Like Adam Kuhn crotch lock Gable threw him over his head. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Again, that win over Adam Kuhn doesn't mean anything either. Kuhn's a Greco guy. He always has been, always will be. Same thing. Gable can come out and tech Colton Schultz. No, he's going to bat an eye.
And I mean, if you look at their most recent match wrestled, which is that match in high school,
I think so, yeah.
Which obviously super far away to be going back, and Gable Stevenson has obviously developed a lot back then. It's just the only thing that we can really judge, right?
Yeah.
Gable Stevenson hit that what was a wrist roll ankle pick. I think I've watched like the behind the dirt breakdown on that a few times.
Yeah, I don't know about ankle pick. It was kind of just like a low double in my eyes, but yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And so if you watch the beginning of that match, you saw Kerkvliet stand to like the right side, and then Gable snapped him. He had like a far side shot. Yeah. Which is like, how much mobility, I'm probably speaking, they could probably do this like any time, but you know how much mobility it takes to hit that shot at that size on a guy as good as Gable Stevenson from right here, getting all the way around here.
Yeah.
Like, that's
so
not
if you look at that match, well, first off, keeping it as narrow scoring as that is, whenever you're undersized, and the size excuse, not an excuse.
I hate playing that, but if everybody else is going to also, so why?
Yeah, the size factor, I'll say. It only matters so much whenever you have two wrestlers of that kind of caliber. And I think stylistically, Gable is not a dude who benefits from being a lot bigger than people, right?
I mean, if you look at his main reason, what he does with his offense, he's kind of diversified that more now, but he scores a lot from snap downs.
He's got heavy hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kerkvliet's a guy he's not gonna snap you down, hold you down, run the corner like Gable does. So goes off as a whole freshman year. Kerkvliet, snap, boom, he's already behind you.
Yeah.
He's quicker than Gable is. People aren't gonna want to admit it. He's the fastest guy at the weight class.
Really?
If you just watch his matches, yeah, he's quicker. Is that gonna play a factor? Gable's probably stronger, yeah. Paris's brute strength, it shows what really wins. Like Paris could trip, catch Gable and a dump and pin him. Gable he could catch Kirk and pin him too. You never know. That's why Paris, in my opinion, is the wild card. Kirk's the guy who's top 3 for sure, right? Those are top 3. I don't think anybody's gonna argue that, right? Stencil may fit in and catch an upset. That's something I don't want to really mention yet. But if Mason Paris keeps improving at the rate he did from his freshman to sophomore year, he's going to cause some problems for somebody.
Yeah.
And that's what I really don't know right now. Again, I think it's all wild card. We're judging a lot for just one match. And I'm just excited to see him back. It brings a new factor to this. I don't know exactly where they have him ranked. I can actually check the Flow app right now. But if it's not third,
I don't think you could really justify him being third, though, if his only 2 wins are from fellas from Maryland. And I mean, I don't like speaking badly of Maryland.
He does have a win
over Yusuf.
Yeah, what I will say, he does have a tech fall over Yusuf Hamida. Yusuf Hamida beat Tony Cassiope.
Can they factor in those, though?
For Flow, probably.
I think Bracky's gone on the record saying that he doesn't.
Yo, fuck that, dude. Damn, I'm trying to find these rankings. Rankings. Flow rankings in bio. God damn it.
Heavyweight is so good now, but I can't wait until in 2 years where hopefully Ferrari bumps up. The dude's annoying on social media and all that, but man, he can wrestle.
He's good. Bro, what is this? Okay, pound for pound. 285, nice.
Oh, that's not good.
14th.
Okay, that's a.
I can agree with that, Ray, but I don't agree with him being ranked above. If you're gonna put him at 14, I don't agree with him being ranked above Tate Orndorff and Brian Andrews.
Well, I mean, so he's not going to get an opportunity to wrestle anyone really big in conference.
What I will say is he just needs to be Paris, right?
Yeah.
Anything that's not a 4 seed, a 5 seed, an 8 seed, or a 9 seed should be fine.
That kind of bugs me that I mean, pretty much by the end of Big Tens, we'll probably know who the heavyweight champ is.
Yeah, probably. Again, you also know Kuhn had a good shot of being. Kuhn had the best shot of being snare that year.
Yeah.
Takes one bad shot, and I was like, God damn, dude. That one actually kind of made me sad.
Yeah.
Again, I don't agree with these rankings whatsoever. You have Gable Stevenson, Mason Paris, Tony Cassiope. We all know I want Kirk at number 3 right now. I don't think you can move him higher. I put Cassiope 3, Cassiope 4, Stencil 5, Luffman 6, Lance 7, Hilger 8, Schultz 9. And then I'd have Jordan Wood 10. No. Colton Schultz 10, Jordan Wood 11. And then we just go from there. I don't agree with Carter Isley or Gannon Graham being 6 or 7, I like Carter Isley, obviously Russell a lot, and Gannon Graham too, but they're in weak-ass conferences and they haven't done much. Gannon Graham got handled by Colton Schultz last time they wrestled. 6-3, I think it was. Carter Isley is just, he's that. And Trent Hilger beat Carter Isley, I think, every time they wrestled.
Yeah.
These guys having a kind of a rough year, I'll say that right now, but no. I think a lot of these guys who are placing lower, you look at Jamarcus Graham from Purdue, Christian Robitaille from Michigan State. If they can qualify for nationals, they're gonna win a match, unlike people think. Just because you're so low in the Big Ten doesn't mean you're so low in the country.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Big Ten's a tough conference.
Yeah,
it's the toughest conference.
Tate Orndorff, Brian Andrews over Tate Orndorff, I don't agree with. Zach Elam, number 8, over Luke Luffman. No, that's I just don't see that happening. I wish I could, but I really just don't right now.
Sorry, I'm just gonna pull up the NLWC results.
Yeah, you're good. It's just like a lot of weird things. It's just like I don't know how do you put Kerkvliet at 14, right? How do you come up with that ranking?
Well, because he
When
hasn't
you
beaten one
yeah,
who's
when you
top 10.
wrestled dude from Maryland, would you just hand him 14 or like you
Well,
know
because I think always, I mean, my hard principle with rankings personally is that you want to beat dudes. And I mean, sometimes it's just like, it sucks
he
that
didn't
because
have a
what Kirkby
chance?
was out
That's
with
what I'm
injury,
saying.
right?
Yeah,
He would have had these chances to have bigger matches, and that really sucks. And I do agree that if we looked at these from a purely stylistic and realistic matchup standpoint, yeah,
yeah.
Kirkleet's top three easily.
I think what
But
they need to do is give a bottom half of the bracket. I think a 6 seed is perfect. And that's
technique arguments always or matchup arguments always kind of become like iffy because wrestling has that like ultimate win condition of like getting caught in a pin. It
yeah.
kind of makes things problematic, right? Like to kind of like for example, like NLWC, you said Zach Sanders pinned Thomas
Thomas
Gilman.
Gilman, yeah.
Do you think
That happens. Again, that's also going
if you have them wrestle 10 times, how many times do you think Zach Sanders pins a world team member? And I think world silver medalist, if I remember
yeah.
right.
I mean, again, Gilman kind of pinned himself there.
Yeah.
But let's look at this to see like where he theoretically will be. So if Gable's number one, Paris is number two, Cassiope's number three, Christian Lance number four, Trent Hilger number five, and Greg Kerkvliet number six. That's if we're going these, just ranking them by Big Ten, yeah. Tate Orndorff number seven is gonna have Mason Paris first round, tough draw. And there's nobody in the Big Ten under that. Interesting, but it is.
They're
No,
not.
I also don't agree with Miles being number one, but
At 97, yeah.
yeah,
What happened to Schultz?
I'd give it to. I have Eric Schultz one, Cordell Norfleet two, Miles being three. Miles means an Olympian, but for like what country? Think about that.
Serbia.
Exactly. Like Amar Desi was an Olympian too, placed third. That's crazy to think about. That top three, they're all favorites to be an Olympian. Kyle Snyder, Adam Kuhn, and Amar Desi.
I can't find the results on the list. I mean, you ran down them, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I did write down. And we can just hop into that right now, right? So I think the biggest story that section came to the junior bouts, the first bout of the day. Um, Sophomore New Jersey state champion Jimmy Mullen pinned number one heavyweight in the country, Chase Horn.
Yep.
So basis of this, nothing crazy. Mullen comes out firing with that slide by like he normally does. He's just really good at creating pressure into him. Got the slide by, took one down for two. Couldn't really manufacture turns. Not that probably wasn't going to turn him. Chase's frame's just too short and compact for that. Chase comes in with the underhook, throw by to a knee pull, knee pick, double, kind of whatever you would call that. Just came with like a low shot off an underhook throw by.
Yeah.
Took him down pretty easily. Jimmy tries to run and go for the Mason Paris dump, whatever. And he gets Gator rolled twice. So, down 6-2. You don't really expect much. Like, oh, okay, maybe the first time down was a fluke. Dives now low single. Chase hits the splits on him. And he catches that far elbow and rolls it immediately. And he's on his back. And about 20 seconds later is good night right there. And
yeah.
I think this is really crazy. People want to underestimate this, but we've had a thing now. If that theoretically should push him to number one, I would say I think he's good. He's good enough to be moved from number four to number one right there.
Yes.
But, I think I would say it any day. Healthy, in shape Keontae Hamilton is the best in the country. But,
really?
Yeah.
I do think that like there's probably going to be some people. I mean, I don't know how passionate.
I think it's four of them are tied for top. That's all I will say.
Yeah, so I think I obviously I've seen the clip, but I feel like this is one of those things where like there's gonna be people who are saying that like, oh, he got caught, like that's kind of like a nonsense win. But like that's the thing that drives me nuts is that I saw someone else saying that like Kanan Storr got caught by Peyton O'Mania.
No, I saw that. I was like, oh, well, here's a thought. Maybe just don't get headlocked in a
he
Division
got
One
caught
match.
twice. But so
People
with
discredit Greco dudes all the time. Like if Colton
yeah, so
Schultz
Chase Horn and
throws and
Jimmy,
wins, yeah,
it's not like
getting
someone hit some
yeah,
scrambly stuff and like wound up on their back and then they got stuck because touch pin. Once your elbow is caught, if you're going chest wrap, you should at least be vaguely aware of the elbow trap, right? And I'm not saying that Chase Horn wasn't. I'm saying that Jimmy Mullen knows how to deal with the chest wrap. That's a legitimate technique. It works whenever you practice it, right? So this isn't like some freak getting caught win. This is someone who's genuinely obviously it's not the game
you can
plan
say it to
probably.
Kyle Snyder too, right there, but it's like getting caught is only a thing I've seen when you're the higher ranked guy.
Yeah.
People don't want to establish like, okay, Cassiope got caught against Mason Paris last year. Then
Yeah.
that conversation never comes. Like, oh, Paris will just bulldoze him either way. That may be true, but he got caught on his back with a reverse angle pick. That's what that is,
Yeah.
right? Again, and then he comes to a situation where, like, okay, he got put on his back there. Store didn't impress me at all. I don't think in any of his matches. Barely beat Terrell Barklow from Penn State.
It was an excellent point made that, like, after those two headlocks, he didn't really have anything for Store, and he just kind of rode the near fall. But it is dumb to me
That's
that
all he
people
had
made
to
that
do.
argument that, like, oh, he got caught, it doesn't matter. Headlocks are a legitimate technique. Not to, like, get, like, too into the technique of it, but Peyton Omania is a friggin' Greco junior world teamer.
Yeah.
He's got a legitimate headlock. There's a guy from Washington. He's like a two-time state champion right now, Isaiah Anderson at 195, 20th in the country. He's won them both off of a headlock. The first time, he pinned the dude in the first period as a freshman at 195. And then second year, he wrestles Michael Casper, who I believe is an All-American. And that's a –
Is he related to Jacob Casper or not?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was either a 3-2 or a 2-1 match. I do know that he scored that 2 off of a headlock. Mm-hmm. It's a legitimate technique that Greco guys are very, very good at. He did not get caught. Peyton Omania did as Peyton Omania does, which is good Greco.
That gets, again, I think there's times where you do get caught again. That the best example of that would be Thomas Gilman. Gabe Dean at 195. Those are like legitimate things of getting caught, Put himself, again, you could also make the argument he put himself in a bad position. Yeah, that's true. Right? Yes. Again, if you watch that Zach Sanders and Thomas Gilman match, right? He went for a gut. Sanders kind of just stepped over and stuck him. That's really it. Same thing with Taylor Lujan and Gabe Dean. It happens, you just got to kind of get over it. If you watched, it's a throwback, but Mason Paris versus Colton Schultz. Paris hit like a roll through off of Peterson. I don't even know what the fuck that was, honestly. But he did got like a defensive fall. That's what it is, right? I think again,
that's happened to me.
Schultz Schultz versus Paris is gonna be a very interesting match.
Yes.
Schultz is a guy again notorious for slowing down guys' offenses.
Yeah, so I mean, whenever someone's offense is already notoriously low volume, they need to be 100% on converting to points. So,
and with Paris,
Colton Schultz does not. This is not like Paris beats him 10 times out of 10. This could be a pretty even match, and Schultz could really establish himself with this.
It's not going to look like an even match because again, Mason Paris has proven himself to be that number 2. But people forget like how many close calls Mason Paris has had. Chances are somebody beats him. Maybe they don't. Maybe they do. Right. Look at senior nationals. Christian Lance lost 6-9. Watch Jordan Wood. If Jordan Wood didn't give up that crotch lock roll through, and he took him down with a reversal and leg laced him, he wins that match off criteria. Jordan Wood again is probably the most positionally sound dude out there. That's the reason he's an All-American all time. But let's get back to another line card. Nothing crazy happened here. Nick Bouzakis. I think Nick Bouzakis attacking Nico Nardone is pretty impressive. Nico Nardone is pretty damn good. Beat Robert Howard once. So, that was huge at the Del Barton versus Bergen Catholic duel. And Robbie came back to beat him 5-3 in sudden victory in the New Jersey State semifinals. So, I think Nardone's probably going to be a guy who's pretty handily going to win the state tournament this year. I think at 132, 126, whatever he's at. Gabe Arnold from Wyoming Seminary. I think he's best known for his win over Travis Mastrogiovanni. which was pretty big at that. Blair versus Sem. And he beat Aaron Izerov, New Jersey State finalist, at 152. Last year, he beat him 12-4, which is pretty impressive. Izerov is huge and insanely hard to score. He has some very interesting defense. Like, who's the guy with the really weird defense? Satiev or
Satiev, yeah.
Yeah, it was like some interesting defense. I think that's who I think Ashnell was commentating, and that's what he kind of brought up in his match at the Mobbing Classic. And what was the last one?
On the undercard?
Yeah, I think that was it there.
Yeah, that was probably it. I don't follow high school wrestling at the national level.
Somebody else could take too. But what happened to this? I think the biggest story, again, Costner House out there. This is something that I really want to make. Costner versus Nate Jackson 6-1. Jaden Cox versus Nate Jackson 6-1. I'll just leave that there.
Nate Jackson
that does anything.
Nate Jackson moving up to 97 kilograms has been in the conversation. I mean, the dude's 6'3". There's no way he's making 86 kilos very easily. But I think right now his style fits his size very well at 86. So
that's why like his double works on everybody 86 when he gets to 97. So it's like the little bit of extra weight is like hurting him. But I think now might be
keeping it that narrow. Keeping it that narrow with Kyle Snyder and Jaden Cox, who aren't like they're not teching machines, but like whenever Jaden Cox like gets into a flow of scoring, if you can prevent him from doing that, you can at least keep the score small.
I
mean, keeping it small against Snyder is huge.
Yeah. He was closer to scoring on Jaden Cox than Kyle Snyder.
Yeah.
Again, I've said it. Kyle Snyder should be the favorite at 97. That's just what the stats prove, but that's a conversation for another day. I think that can go either way. Most likely, we'll go down to match 3. Most likely, there's a chance you could see 0 takedowns scored in that entire 3-match series.
Yeah.
Which is going to suck for a lot of y'all because I know guys are hyping this up, but at the end of the day, hate to say it, both are most likely fighting for number 2.
Yeah.
Or number 3 at that. But, yeah, so I think that was a very interesting point I really want to make because, again, I overthink stuff all the time. That's something I thought of. But we'll hop into this one, which I think this was huge, but it's kind of be – I think this maybe just dismisses a fluke. Gilman's up 4-0 on Zach Sanders. Gilman goes for a gut wrench. I don't think Gilman's too known for his parterre turns. Gilman's known for breaking guys from neutral. Went for that. Sanders just isn't that well-known, high-class of a dude, He can hold close matches all the time, but Deshaun blew through him. Seth Gross blew through him, and it's like, okay. Then if you make, like, the smallest mistake against him, 9 out of 10 times he will capitalize, and he will make you pay big for that. And that's exactly what happened.
It sucks as I'm a huge fan of Thomas Gilman. And it sucks to hear about this. I wasn't able to watch it, but it sucks and especially getting pinned off of your gut wrench. Again, this is the whole getting caught conversation, right? If you have them wrestle 10 times, how many times does he really beat him? If he was up 4-0, I mean, that's close enough that who knows? I mean, I watched some Zach Sanders footage last night to kind of like, as like a primer for like whatever was going to happen today. Dude's got heavy hands. I mean, I felt like he could sit in there and hand fight with Gilman.
He's a warrior. That's the best way to.
Yeah, exactly.
Make one mistake again.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like. I mean, gut wrenches they're just an inherently like. They're a risky technique if you just don't get that lock literally airtight.
It's like, if you wrench, like you see guys try to step over, do all that catch leg, that you put yourself in a 50-50 scenario, right? You could either come up big and pin them, you could either just get the exposure, somehow get off and just go back to lying down in parterre, or you can get caught on your own back.
Yep. So
it's like he took the risk, again, him, Nashawn Garrett are 2 of the biggest wild cards 57. I've said it before. I've said it now. Spencer Lee's the best in the NCAA. He hasn't proven that yet at the senior level.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he won't be, but he needs to prove it before you say that.
That's true.
Same thing about Gable Stevenson before. He lost Nick Wisdowski. I said after he beats Nick Wisdowski, it's okay. He can have that. Gwiz is still number 1. The match was close enough to the point where I can say that one-day trials may have an impact on that. But
Yeah.
let's go into the next match I wanted to talk about. David Taylor did not actually wrestle at this. That's huge, but not really. It was who's he supposed to wrestle? Max Dean,
Chris Foca and Max Dean.
Chris Falcon, Max Dean, or David Taylor, Max Dean.
No, he was supposed to wrestle both Max Dean and Chris Foca.
Yeah, that's what it was. I think Chris Falcon didn't show up, and Nate Jackson stepped up to wrestle Max Dean. I think Chris Falcon is going to be a force to 86 coming the next Olympic cycle. I'm going to say that right now.
Oh, really?
100%. Yeah, he almost beat Mark Hall.
Excellent point.
And he's only entering his freshman year of college. He beat what's his name? He beat John Pisnanski in the state finals.
Ooh.
2018, 5-2. And then but yeah, that's gonna be very interesting. I think Foca again has had a good style. I think he might go 86. He might go 79 maybe. He cut from 82 to 74 to college. Not a big cut, but it's what it is. That's interesting there. But Max Dean did get he had an upset over Nate Jackson. That's nothing crazy about that. I think Max Dean's been a guy who's been underrated his entire career.
Yeah.
He makes an upset over Miles Martin. Everybody's hyping him up, but he loses Drew Foster, and everybody's like, "Nah, you're not shit anymore." So, you love guys. One day you hit them the next. Tate Orndorff comes up with 2 big upsets last year, and now y'all want to hate on him for no fucking reason. The same guys who want to hate on him now didn't know who he was last year. Same thing with Cordell Northfleet. Everybody wants to pick him to win the national title. When I said watch out for Cordell Northfleet next year, everybody's like, nah, it's not happening. I don't even know who that dude is. It's going to be Noah Adams. Look how well this aged. For anyone who says my picks are horrible, fuck you. Let's just get that out of the way. But, so I think that was a very interesting match. Again, let's the next thing I want to hop into again, Bo Nickel versus Gabe Dean. This is a match I think Gabe Dean has been waiting for a long ass time.
Yeah.
The fact that I think this is just what he needed to. Was that from you or me?
You.
Me. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know where that's from. Is my Discord blown? My bad, guys. If you're listening to this all, it's gonna be awkward as fuck. But Gabe Dean's been waiting for a long time. 2017 NCAA Finals. He's on his road to become a 3-timer. 3 is the point which pushes you to the elite level of college wrestling.
Yeah.
The elite status when you leave, right? And Bo Nickel took that away. Wins a challenge call, wins the match 4-3. This was if you ever look at the polls on my story, I always put the song "Revenge" by Joyner Lucas. And that was for a reason. I'll be honest, I'm biased about this. I've been a huge fan of Gabe Dean. I like how he wrestles. He's, that's, But, again, I also called Kyle Snyder tech falling because, again, putting a guy who wrestles like Gabe Dean with a man who wrestles pretty much the exact same way, but it's just bigger, is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
That's just what that is.
I just know that there's going to be some people saying that, like, Bo Nickel has fallen off after college. I just know that there's going to be some people saying that.
Fall off. It's just that he's not.
He's just developing.
He's not as good compared to those guys who are already established at the level.
Yeah, so he's going to establish himself.
86 has more national titles than any other Olympic weight class.
Yeah. I think
it's not close.
I think when all is said and done, once David Taylor is gone, because personally, I don't think anyone's really going to be the 86 guy as long as David Taylor is wrestling.
I don't want to say it, but, there's, as we said before, always 1 or 2 guys who aren't supposed to be on an Olympic team make it.
I know we disagree on that.
Last time it was Kyle Snyder, right?
Yeah.
And Kyle Snyder's been like a legend in the sport since then.
Yeah.
But
I know we disagree on this, but until David Taylor's done competing, I don't think that there's anyone else at 86 kilos.
I won't say that. I'm just saying if Gabe Dean does something crazy, don't be surprised.
Yeah. Personally, though, I think that Bo Nickel is going to be the guy once Taylor's gone. I think 86 kilos. I was talking with Gordon with this the other day, or I think I also mentioned it with you. This is pretty much like his first time cutting weight in his career to go down to like 86 kilos. Because he last competed at like 92 kilograms,
I don't
weighing
think he's
in.
cutting any real weight for that though. That's like maybe 10 pounds, and that's just probably just eating better. Let's be
I mean,
honest.
he's not like Jordan Oliver going from like what that dude weighs like 185 pounds at his heaviest.
Probably.
But yeah,
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't agree with that. I will root for Miles Martin every day in that 86 spot. I'm telling you, that's in 2024 time come being. I want it to be his. That matchup was a lot more even than a lot of people think now.
I don't think
Miles Martin's a guy again. He's
he's
just
ranked like
now
8th in the world, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just now starting to get the hang of it.
I don't think Bo Nickel is going to have like the same level of dominance over domestic competition that David Taylor has had. I think that if Bo Nichols does get the spot over the next couple of years after David Taylor is gone, then it's going to be close. He's going to keep it close with Miles Martin.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that obviously if anyone is going to upset Nickel, at least in my mind with that prediction set out, it's going to be Miles, right?
Or Max Dean after what happened tonight.
Or Max. Although
and you have Drew Foster too, who you really can't. And Nate Jackson's young too.
Nate Jackson too.
Max Dean's There's so many guys. I think, let's look at this, right? David Taylor, 2-time national champ, right at the top. Gabe Dean, 2-time national champ. Bo Nickel, 3-time national champ. Alex Derringer, 3-time national champ. Miles Martin.
Oh yeah, Derringer is staying up at 86.
Zahid Valencia. Do we give him the 3-timer? I'll give it to 3-time national champ. Mark Hall's a national champ. These are like lower guys at 86. Mark Hall. Like Mark Hall is a fucking nobody at 86.
That's the freaky part to me.
And
that
that's
Mark Hall
crazy
was like,
to say. Like
Mark Hall was like riding the highest of highs, and now he's just like, in terms of 86 kilos, he's pretty much an afterthought.
I think either 2024 is most likely going to Zahid.
Really?
He'd be Bo Nichols, he'd be Miles Martin, What if Miles hits the glow up, like I think he will, is like Miles will be the guy. And I have 100% faith. He's like the superior athlete of the field. I don't think anybody's going to argue with me saying he's more athletic than Bo Nichols and Heath Valencia.
Yeah.
Heath Valencia is like the perfect, I don't know what takes call him. He's just like perfect, like technical.
He's built right. He's built right for the weight class.
He's built perfect for the weight class. Like he has David Taylor for him.
Yeah.
I have David Taylor beating Gabe Dean or Zahid Valencia. That just depends.
Yeah.
Again, Zahid Valencia's offense versus Gabe Dean's defense. That's all it's going to come to. I think Ringer people just completely sleep on him after he lost to Miles Martin once, lost to Bo Nickel on passivity point.
86 is just, that's an incredible weight class.
It really is, and like people are going to talk about it like, oh, David Taylor pinned the Olympic champion. Like, granted, Hassan Yazdani was a nobody 86 at that point. He was the guy at 74 who capitalized on Jordan Burroughs choking.
Yeah.
That's essentially what he was. Like, people forget to. There's a chance that Yazdani beats Taylor. It's a lot more than people would really give him. Same thing was said with Sadulayev and Snyder.
The gap between Sadulayev and Snyder, and then
I wouldn't say that, but you have to realize how long ago was that? Was that like 2018?
Whenever Sadulayev and Snyder last wrestled?
No, whenever Taylor pinned Yazdani.
They wrestled twice. The first time he pinned. The second time he teched, I want to say. I think he teched him. Yeah.
Granted, again, that man is so dominant. His underhooks can slow guys' offense down. Again.
Yeah.
All depends. Again.
David Taylor does to Hassan Yazdani what Hassan Yazdani does to literally every single other 86 kilo guy.
It might be just a match of kryptonite for him. Again, it happens, but it's really what it is, right? It's like It's just interesting for thought. No, it's like who fares well on big stage and who doesn't. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
99% of the time, the Olympics is not won by the one seed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably not an accurate graphic, but you see it happen a lot of times.
Yeah.
Again, Roland Gardner obviously being the biggest example of this.
Yep.
You put pressure on a guy who's never had pressure on him before, and
Yeah.
he folded. But yeah, again, Kyle Dake was supposed to be the main event of this. Yeah, he kind of
What did he do
didn't.
against Vincenzo? I mean, you told me
He
prior to this
tech
that
he
he
teched him.
5-0'd. He teched him.
Yeah.
I did see one clip posted of like Vincenzo kind of like pretty much slapping him with a collar.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it was just Dake being Dake, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing more for me to tell you guys. Like, that's all it was. And then he Dake bombed Jason Rolfe, if that helps.
Oh, was that the 5?
It was a 4.
Oh, it was 4.
Opened up with a 5. Dalton Perry in the junior bouts opened up with a nasty 5-pointer against Kai Owen. Right. I'll be honest. I couldn't really pay attention to lives because again that thing crashed a couple times. So
Oh, I heard.
I think they kept going. So that kind of confused me, right? I don't think any. I think Evan Henderson versus Zane Rutherford's a good one to talk about. Is Zane going to be the guy? People didn't think he was going to be the guy last year, and he did it.
Heart says Yanni, head says Zane, just because I think now Zane has an established way to beat him, right? And I mean, in their last match, the last match of their final, because the arbitration, that was what, like 2-1?
Yeah, the whole arbitration thing was stupid too.
It was pretty daft. I mean, personally, I did have that exchange scored for Yanni, and they should have wrestled the third match at the time. But I think having this just one extra match kind of like part of it takes away from the value. I think it's important that Final X takes place in one night.
If Yanni won, there's always going to be a question like, was he?
Would he have won twice in a row? That's the biggest question. Also, I think it's kind of BS that with the arbitration process, if Yanni won, they would have had to wrestle yet another match. Because I think it just puts Yanni in a position where he has everything to lose, and then he did. But again, in terms of Zane being the guy at 65, I mean, what did he beat Henderson by?
6-2.
6-2. Some people might look at that and say, "Oh, Evan Henderson is closing the gap," or Zane Rutherford.
Would Yanni tech Henderson? Henderson's like one of the weirdest wrestlers out there.
Very solid defense.
No, again, the guy, I think he's with Spark NYRTC or something like that. But again, Evan Henderson's good, man. I think another
he's very
guy.
Good. It's just that I feel like
at Chemendia at 65. If he's
people might look at a 6-2 match and go, "Oh, well, I mean, it's not that much of a gap." But that's pretty much if someone asks me like, "Oh, what does a Zane Rutherford freestyle match look like?" 6-2, score off a couple of reattacks and then wall a dude out, right? It's very different from when he was in college, obviously, because Zane Rutherford was so good at turning people, right? That bow and arrow is absolutely nasty, and obviously it also translates to freestyle. But Zane Rutherford's offense in freestyle so far has largely been on the feet with his arm drag reattacks. He's got this excellent low double that he scores on everyone, and that's part of what makes him so difficult for guys like Evan Henderson, who are very good at scoring defensively. A good defensive wrestler scores by prolonging exchanges, right? That's why Yanni's so freaking good against guys like Jordan Oliver, right? Because Jordan Oliver takes single legs. Single legs are good to scramble off of because they take longer to score on than a double leg. Yeah. So you get a guy like Zane Rutherford, Evan Henderson. Zane Rutherford's low double, which I didn't see the match, but that's just what I'm going to say is that Zane Rutherford keeps scoring exchanges very, very short, and that's how he won that last wrestle off against Yanni as well. Yanni and Henderson are both dudes with very, very tough defense, but they both get thwarted by fast scorers. It's like how whenever Jordan Burroughs double legs Kyle Dake, right? Kyle Dake can't really chest wrap him very well. Most of the time, Kyle Dake either gets two'd and gets taken down, or he gets run out for a step out, right? And that's what Jordan Burroughs does to everyone because his double is so fast, it converts quickly.
And then the one time it got stuffed.
Except for the time that he did get test wrapped. Yes.
Yeah, again, that the fact that that's more iconic than the 7 times Jordan Burroughs has beaten him is crazy.
I mean, it says something about how impressive it is that he chest wrapped
Yeah.
Jordan Burroughs. So whenever you get a guy like Evan Henderson who needs to wall dudes out in prolonged exchanges, and then you have someone like Zane Rutherford who matches up excellently with everyone at 65 kilograms because of this, I mean, I just don't see anyone but Zane being the guy for 65, and that really sucks because Yanni is legitimately my favorite wrestler, but logically, I just do not see someone beating Zane Rutherford in the near future if it isn't Yanni. And right now, what I'm seeing from Yanni, it doesn't really look like he's still going to beat Zane because Zane is still just a nightmare matchup for him.
Yeah, no, I see the exact same thing. Again, I've said it, the dark horse is McKenna. I would not sleep on him. I don't know. If he beats him, if he doesn't, that's whatever. He's going to give him a hell of a match.
Have they wrestled yet?
I don't know. I remember last time McKenna beat him. And McKenna also did get teched by Jordan Oliver. I think all these guys are just like weird
that Jordan
matches.
Oliver on that day.
Yeah,
I'd pick him against anyone.
Yeah, that was something different. And then the man just he disappointed me. Like, dude, I love watching Jordan Oliver, but like that was awful what I saw at that 150 bracket.
Yeah,
Alec Matalia was good, dude. Like I'll give him that.
I was picking Jo to win the whole friggin' thing. I think that he should have won that Bajrang.
Nah, he was not beating Bajrang. No, I don't want to hear that blasphemy in here.
No, because
that's absolute bullshit. James Green
that chest wrap, he initiated the score. He should have gotten the 2 for exposure.
Who? James Green?
No, so Jo gets it on a low single, but not during the 150. Not during the 150.
Oh, which one are you talking about?
Last time that Jo and Bajrang wrestled, the deciding score was Jo was in on a single. Bajrang.
I will take that. No, honestly, could have gone either way. International refs are 99% of the time going to score that. And that's just a precedent that's been set. Same thing with the Zayn match that happened. Granted, Zayn was more defined, but you can't have your head being stuffed and jump over and expect to get the points for that just because you initiated it.
Well, that's what the rules say. If
you
initiate the exposure.
You can't be in a position that you don't have control. In that position, it's 99% of the time going to be given to the wrestler with control when somebody gets exposed. Especially when you're stuffed like this. He could have easily made it look with that small head tilt that he was doing it.
I feel like that's
it's not the same when you have the same video to watch over and over again than when you're watching it there and have a coach answer you.
Yeah, there is that. I think this is what bugs me about the initiation rule, and it's also because there's no other way to do it, right? But you can't have this long, lengthy review process because then you have to talk about, who's really in control in a sit-out position with a chest wrap? Because if he has his leg,
but the leg
he
is
has
stuffed.
the chest wrap.
Yeah, it's like messy. With the head stuffed. That's where my issue comes in. Like, does it go to Bajrang? But either way, like JO's.
You see JO's feet kick off. Anyways, yeah.
JO's essentially a dark horse now, which is crazy to say.
That's nuts. The dude looked like. The dude was friggin' incredible. I mean, that he was.
Isn't Tyler Berger
clearly a dude
at 65 now too?
You just say Berger?
Tyler Berger, yeah.
I don't think.
Because I remember the last match I saw of him, he beat Sammy Sasso 8-2.
That must have been like Sammy Sasso and him wrestling at like 160.
Nah. See, what I will say is, let's be honest right now. Joey McKenna will always be picked against. People picked Seth Gross over Joey McKenna.
I feel like at the time people were very high on Seth Gross, though.
It's just stupid in my opinion because picking Seth Gross just because he won a national title over a guy who lost national finals to Yanni Diakmahalis. Even though he redeemed that loss, which is just insane to say. Again, Tyler Berger. Who Tyler Berger lose to? Jason Nolf. Just because Sammy Sasso. People don't realize how much of a difference there is from the college level to the international level.
Yeah. Also, freestyle is just a real pain to transition into if you're a dude who has specialized.
Yeah, that's why I think Echemendia is going to be dangerous if he's back for the Olympic trials. That match with James Green was essentially 3-3. Bill Green caught the leg lace.
Yeah. I can't find what Berger's at. I mean, has he been competing in any like official events?
He
I
may
feel like
be a
he's
74, 65. It's one of those two again.
Hmm.
You know, I think if there's obviously the dark horse 75 is going to be Isaiah Martinez. It's a 3-man race there. I don't like people calling it a 2-man race because I think there's a very possibility that Imar can pull that upset. Or he gets bombed on his head, but the way he wrestled against Jason Nolf, I doubt it.
Imar and Dake have the same number of wins against JB. That's all I'm saying.
You know, again, I wouldn't count David Taylor's win. That's, it's good for mental aspect for David Taylor. And, you have to redeem that. Jordan Burroughs like, oh, well, who gives a fuck? And the rest of the world's like, Jordan Burroughs should have won when neither of them really care,
Yeah.
He just needed closure on that. That's really what that was.
Yeah.
And that's, again, like, it's going to be a very interesting topic. We keep going off track with this stuff. Now, think about it.
I mean, on the one hand, it's a
Jason
sign of
Nolf got fucking tossed.
Yeah. He did not get 10-0'd. He did not get 10-0'd, and I feel like that at least is something. I know I said last episode
thing is, Nolf
I think he can score, but
Nolf has a short offense. He doesn't take too competitive attacks. Like, you know how quick Nolf's offense is? Like, he doesn't like finishing from the mat. You've seen that.
Yeah.
And against a guy like Dake, he put himself in the position once, gave him 4-4.
Yeah.
That's really what that is. But, yeah, I think this is really it right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you guys for listening. This has been episode 48 of Late Night Shots. We just covered Greg Kerkvliet's debut. I think some international matchups. That's really what that is. And we covered the Nathan Line wrestling card that just happened. There's going to be some more events going down on Rockfin, I think this week, next week. A bunch of big things going off as we're prepping for the Olympic trials. That event is going to be
Underground RTC or whatever is going on tomorrow, I believe.
Evan Wick versus Tyler Berger is going to be the feature match of that. So I think it's one to watch. But anyways, thank you guys for listening, and we will see you guys next time.